Guys, I'm back. I'm back again. Right, making a coffee. My wife said I've got an hour, so I thought I'll do the live now while she's out. Yeah. Of course, you guys know I'm making a coffee. So it was a bit sudden. I had to quickly come off, but I'm back on with the coffee. So sorry to mess you guys around. It was a bit unexpected. Let's quickly chop some milk. So I hope everyone's all right. It's around 12 o'clock in the UK, and we have been covering Fern Cotton's interview with Riley Keough. Just whiz that up a bit on the BBC. Okay. Right, so we've got some more coffees, guys. We've got to have the coffees going, haven't we? So we're going to carry on covering it. Right, I'm going to quickly put it on now, if I can find my phone. Hi, guys. Sorry about that. So we're back. We're back again. Woohoo! I've got an hour. So let's put the interview back on. I'll finish off making my coffees. We're going to comment on this as we go. Yes, yeah, thank you. Yes, I hope it is. And who knows, maybe Bridget will contact us after this. Don't forget, these court dates with the Bridget Cruz and Priscilla Presley thing, you know, it doesn't all get ended today. Today will just be another stage. Today will just be another stage. These things go on and on and on for years, so I wouldn't have too high expectations. Yeah, Emily, it was a quick last-minute thing, yeah? So thanks so much for joining us. Hi, Deborah, and the other Debbie as well, and Ayisa. We're back. Ayisa. Right, let me put the interview back on quickly, if I can find it, and then... Right.
I think, you know, you get an inkling of that just from knowing the story and the history of Elvis.
Right, I'm going to go back a little bit. Let's have a look. Let's get the...
and I think that she just...
Right, are we ready?
Also have a lot of really close relationships in her life. She didn't have...
So we're reviewing Fern Cotton, a British interviewer with Riley Keough. I think this may have only happened yesterday, I think, or in the last few days. But this is a very sensitive, very touching interview with Riley. I fully believe that Riley is defending her mother in the best way that she can, yeah, without putting herself in a position of a lawsuit, whether it be with Priscilla or Michael Edwards, who is the alleged abuser. And even Priscilla has done some serious wrongdoing towards Riley, hasn't she? Especially with the Scientology as well, and a lot. We could speak for weeks talking about the amount of wrongdoing that Priscilla Presley has done towards the Presley bloodline. Yeah. Now, this book is how we defend Lisa Marie Presley and the bloodline. This book, we believe this book. This book is truth. We won't allow this book to be swept under the carpet. We won't allow the sexual allegations, the sexual abuse against Lisa Marie by Michael Edwards. I know it's alleged, but we won't allow it to be forgotten or not investigated. We demand it's investigated. We demand justice for Lisa Marie Presley. So let's start listening to this, guys.
A lot of truly like deep friendships and relationships. To, you know, obviously it's ideal that we don't need that to feel our own self-worth, but I think that
for her, like, I think there was almost like none of it, you know? So I think that she didn't really have anyone saying like, you're amazing, until she was older and, you know, with my dad and some relationships she had. But I don't think she had this. Yeah. So I don't know the one, I don't think there's one reason. I think it was just a lot of things that made her, you know, insecure.
Yeah. I mean, it's an extraordinary life from day one. There's not much normalcy there at all, and she's just having to cope and learn each day how to survive in that sort of environment. And I guess the thing that I really learned from this book, or became completely cognizant of, is the fact that she was so close to her dad. And I think, you know, you get an inkling of that just from knowing the story and the history of Elvis and the family dynamics. But
right, let me just quickly pause that. Now, one thing, I said it on the last live stream, guys. The one thing that stands out to me from this book that I've really understood is just how close Elvis and Lisa Marie really were. Lisa Marie never forgot how close she was with her father, Elvis. They had a very special connection, a beautiful, deep connection. They were very, very important to each other. And one thing we learned from the book, From Here to the Great Unknown, is that she thought about her father every single day till the day she died. For over, you know, we're talking like for not far off 50 years. The connection never left her. And I think she tried to keep it to herself, tried to keep it quite private. Just how close they were, just how special their friendship and their relationship as father and daughter. It was unique. And Elvis lived for Lisa Marie, lived for her. She was the most important thing in his life, and it was a two-way thing, guys.
Inextricable bond. And that really, and I don't know what your thoughts are on this, that she never actually really got over his death. It was sort of with her every day.
Definitely. His death, you know, when I look back, the loss of him kind of dictated her whole life, and not the Elvis part, like the loss of that bond with her father. And I remember, like, I felt like I was born, like, I felt like since I always knew she was in grief. You know, I could feel that from a very young age, that there was sadness there. And it was in her eyes, the most like meaningful relationship other than her children that she had. And kind of this person who was there to guide her through this crazy life of hers, she felt, who left, and she felt very alone. So yes, I think they had an incredibly deep and meaningful bond, and I think that she was always looking for closeness to him throughout her life, and I don't think she really processed it either.
Guys, I'm going to play that again. Those last sentences that she has just said are just so special. Every word that is coming out of Riley's mouth is beautifully worded. Now remember, she's on the spot. She's been interviewed by Fern Cotton in the UK, a very recent interview. I keep hearing that Riley doesn't want to defend her mother, which is complete rubbish, by the way. But you listen to those beautiful words, how Riley completely understood her mother and what made her mother tick, and how her mother felt and thought and existed, being the daughter of Elvis Presley, though to her it wasn't Elvis Presley, it was dad. It was dad. And we know that she absolutely adored living at Graceland as well. Graceland for Lisa was very, very, very special. So let's go back a little bit and let's listen to that again, because I just think let's listen to every word she says. This beautiful connection between Elvis and Lisa. Very, very, very special.
When I look back,
every day.
Definitely. His death, you know, when I look back, the the loss of him kind of dictated her whole life, and not the Elvis part, like the loss of that bond with her father. And I remember, like, I felt like I was born, like, I felt like since I always knew she was in grief. You know, I could feel that from a very young age, that there was sadness there. And it was in her eyes, the most like meaningful relationship other than her children that she had. And kind of this person who was there to guide her through this crazy life of hers, she felt, who left, and she felt very alone. So yes, I think they had an incredibly deep and meaningful bond. And I think that she was always looking for closeness to him throughout her life. And I don't think she really processed it either. You know, I think that she didn't talk about it as much as she probably should have. And I think that a reason for that was because she was always asked about it. And I think that always being asked about it in the press and people wanting to know kind of her response to that was a sort of like, I don't know, I think she would feel irritated when people would ask her about it, because there was so much of it. But then she also didn't, because of that, she didn't really feel, you know, safe or comfortable talking about it. So I think it was like this thing she wanted to keep private to herself.
So I just want to comment on that bit, but I'm quickly messaging everyone on my phone that we're live. I'm not ignoring what she's saying. I'm really listening. Yeah. But I want you guys to all know we're live, so we all come together. But, you know, every word that she's saying, and I do agree that Lisa Marie, if you look at all the old interviews going back decades, it was awkward for her to speak about Elvis. It was difficult to speak about her father. You know, she almost could not, when it comes to the day that Elvis passed, she could barely talk about it. You go back on those old interviews, some of them she sat with Priscilla, she could hardly talk. She was almost still in shock. Whenever she talked about Elvis dying, it was like she was still in shock, Lisa Marie, yeah? Now, of course, she also spoke very fondly, constantly, for years, about the father who she adored, you know, even singing to him. And Elvis loved to sit in the bedroom with her, even when she wasn't home, even when Priscilla was dragged away. I mean, not Priscilla, even when Lisa was dragged away by Priscilla to live with Mike Stone, Elvis would still sit in Lisa's bedroom. He found it was a special place for him. He could sit in her bedroom and just feel close to Lisa, you know, and he would spend hours and hours and hours sat in Lisa's bedroom when she wasn't even there. It's just very sweet, very, very sweet.
But she kept it so private that she wasn't able to really process it, maybe.
I guess when someone of that stature dies, it's almost like there's this public grief, which is a whole other very unusual flavor of grief, where it's not just about the people that are directly impacted. It's the fans, it's the people who have followed that individual for a long time, and their outpouring of grief can be very loud, actually. And I can't imagine how you would deal with that, you know, sort of rallying alongside your own experience of grief and that personal loss of, it's not Elvis, it's my dad, it's my guiding light, it's that person that's gone. And I'm imagining that was just utterly confusing. And, you know, and she was a child, she was a tiny kid. It's so much to deal with. In the book, you both talk quite frequently about Graceland, and that being a place where your mum really did get some comfort of being in the surroundings that were sort of left as they had been after Elvis died, and her crawling into his bed and feeling that sort of sense of closeness to him. Obviously, you didn't get to meet your maternal grandfather, but he's very much part of your story and your blood. And and your lineage. What was that like for you as a kid, going to Graceland and sort of, I guess, maybe being even more acutely aware of that grief, but also having that sense of closeness to who he was?
We loved going to Graceland because my mom's version of Graceland that she still liked to create for us was this place where she felt wild and free and connected to, she actually felt very connected to her father there, and it wasn't a place of sadness at all for her. She would always visit his grave, but mostly it was a place where she felt close to her dad, and like, you know, like you would feel walking into your childhood home. My childhood home doesn't exist anymore, but I dream about it all the time, and when I dream about it, there's this great sense of like comfort in that place. You know, I lived there from 5 years old, or 4 or 5 years old, to 21, and I think that that's what she felt there, like that, like deep security of the childhood home feeling, and like that her connection to him was really strong there. And then she would also like go there and get on the golf carts, and, you know, this is until she died, literally, like run wild and free on the lawn, and connect to that part of herself, the younger part of herself. And I think she really felt like whole there. So we had a really good time there because it was always fun. Like, our experience was going to Graceland, and, you know, we wouldn't really go in the house when the tours were going on, but we would go after and have dinner and see our family there. And, you know, we could feel her joy there and how much fun she would have. And when we were younger, it was like riding around on the golf carts and eating banana pudding. And then as we got older, it was like having a drink in the living room and dancing. And, you know, so it was always a place of joy, you know, for all of us until my brother passed away. And then he was...
let me just pause that. So, do you know what, guys? Do you know what? Do you guys feel the same? The tone in her voice. We're talking about Riley. Just her body language. Just something about, with, you know, she's got those cute little earphones on, and the way her hair is, the look on her face, how relaxed she seems in herself in this interview. So she obviously, I think, she clearly trusts Fern Cotton. But there's just something about this interview that just really relaxes me, and I could just listen to it for hours. Just listen to the words rolling out of her mouth, and how beautifully she talks about her memories with her mother, Lisa, them visiting Graceland, the way that they would go to Graceland, and Lisa would role play her life at Graceland, because we know that Lisa felt most at home at Graceland. So obviously the golf carts, and all the other things that they did, and how they played, how Lisa played as a child at Graceland. She wanted her own children, obviously Benjamin and Riley, to have that same feeling. Obviously, we've got Finley and Harper. And I just think this is a very, very special interview. This is. I haven't watched it yet. We're watching this for the first time together. Yeah, this is a Team Elvis interaction, watching lovely Riley. And I really, really like Riley. I have a lot of time for Riley. Of course, we defend the whole bloodline, but Riley, at the moment, she's at the forefront because obviously, suddenly, she is in charge. Yeah. Now, she's a self-made person. She has her own career. She's a very, very successful actress, model, and many other things. Yeah. She doesn't do this for money. Riley did not finish this book for money. It had nothing to do with money. She's got plenty of money, guys. She finished this book for her mother. She finished this book for her mother, Lisa Marie. Yeah? Completely. And everything in this book is to defend her mother and to share her mother's memories of her life from Lisa's point of view. her mother's words. Even though Riley was asked by Lisa to finish the book, not ever expecting that she was going to die, Riley is finishing this book for her mother. She chose to finish it. She didn't have to finish it, guys. She didn't have to include all the gory details, but she did, because Riley wants the gory details out in the public domain. Because I believe Riley does want justice for Lisa Marie. I think Riley does want the alleged sexual abuse from Michael Edwards to be looked into, investigated. I think that Riley does want the public to know Priscilla's wrongdoing. I really do. I think Riley can't say it in interviews. She has the possibility of litigation, of lawsuits. So Riley does have to be careful what she says. But the book does the talking. The book, she left Priscilla out of the book. Priscilla had no involvement in this book. And I guarantee you, Priscilla did want to be involved in this book. I would say Priscilla also wanted to be part of the audio book. But no, Riley chose Julia Roberts. Riley wanted Priscilla to have nothing to do with this book. I clearly believe that. I also think that it was very important to Riley that all of Lisa Marie's words on those tapes, the negative stuff that went on, was kept in this book so the world could know the truth. I believe this book. I believe every word of this book. And we still demand justice for poor Lisa Marie Presley. And Riley is helping us get this justice. Riley is helping defend her mother using this book. This book does the talking. The book does the talking. Removing Priscilla does the talking. Not allowing Priscilla to be involved in this book does the talking. Riley does defend her mother. She really does. Let's keep going, guys. Right. I actually find it quite emotional, this so seriously, guys, I actually find this, just the way her body language, just the way it feels, the way it comes across, and the look in her eyes. She really does look like she's in sorrow. She looks like she's pouring her heart out to Fern. And I think this is our first viewing of this, guys. So this is very special. To me, this is very special that we here at Team Elvis get to watch this together. Okay, guys?
Buried there. And then I think all of our relationships changed with the property, because it just became a place of grief, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard, very jarring turn to have to take from it being somewhere that, you know, is joy-filled and there's wild abandon to, God, this is now actually a tangible place of grief. That's, yeah. How do you navigate that? That's full on.
Yeah, to be honest, when my brother was buried there, it was really hard for me to go there. My mom would go all the time because she felt a sense of closeness when she would sit in the meditation garden, probably because she was used to it with her dad her whole life, you know? And I think that I didn't realize until my brother was buried there and she was buried there, like how polarizing that experience would have been every time she went, like, because I'd never really experienced grief. I really felt like I understood her experience of Graceland more, having my loved ones buried there. But for me, it was hard to go. For her, she felt like sitting there in the meditation garden with my brother's body or grave and her dad's grave and her grandparents' graves. Like she found that comforting, whereas I didn't really totally have that experience. But you know what? Like, yeah. Once I'm there, I feel happy to be there. It's just like getting up and going that I always feel, you know, apprehensive about. But I also want the relationship to Graceland and the home, because it's so special, to keep the like sort of life and wildness that it had for me, like for my kids and for my sisters. So I do try and bring that when I am there. Like, I like to go with friends, with family, so it feels like alive, and we spend time in the house. So I'm working on sort of recreating that relationship for my kids, and yeah.
Well, it's still, you know, it's fresh. It's not like it happened 20 years ago. You know,
exactly.
You're in the thick of it, and it's you know, it's a long, slow process, isn't it, to change those narratives, and for time to somewhat be a healer. Although, of course, it's not a linear experience necessarily. But
yeah,
I mean, you talk in the book about, you know, your brother died extremely young. He took his own life. Your mum and brother had an incredibly intense bond. And then after that loss, you did start to have a bit of fear that your mum might not stick around. Is that something that you had to really land on? And or was that a thought that you would try and push away because it just felt just too ghastly to imagine that would perhaps be the end of her?
I think
right. Right. I just paused that. I want to read some of these comments. I think they're important. We've still got a good half an hour, guys. So now remember, we're coming from the point of view of that we want justice for Lisa Marie. We want justice, and we don't want this book to be forgotten. This is the theme of what we're doing here on this live stream. This is why we're playing this beautiful interview with Riley. Right. Now, many of you have said to me, please, let's not forget the book. So we are reading the book chapter by chapter slowly, and we are due to read another chapter. So we're going to probably read another chapter today, I hope, as long as my wife allows me. Right. Let's have a look. So Deborah says Riley loved her mum. She speaks of Lisa with tender, loving care. She sure does, Deborah. Yeah, Debbie, you can see. Yeah, this is Debbie. You can see she's hurting. She looks like she's hurting in that. You can sense it. That's why it was so important to me that we watch this together, Team Elvis. Yeah. Yes, much warmth in her voice. Complete love of her mum. Yeah. Karen, you got it. You know she's genuine, just like her mum. Riley would not have put all that stuff in the book if it wasn't true. I agree. But this is why it annoys me when anyone hints that Riley doesn't defend her mother. The book that Riley finished defends her mother. It's too easy to just turn against Riley and start, you know, there are some fans, some Elvis fans, and I'm trying to be respectful, that believe that you're only a true fan if you only support Elvis and Lisa. I don't agree. You support the bloodline. Obviously, this is my opinion. This is my view. You must support the bloodline. Elvis, and obviously Elvis and Lisa Marie and Benjamin and Gladys and Vernon, but we must support Riley and Finley and Harper. And one thing I know about Riley is she 100% loves her bloodline. 100%. Finley and Harper, they are proud of their grandfather, very proud of their mother, yeah, and proud of their sister. So we're there for them, guys. We are there for them. Now, I sort of managed to get Finley to tell me her favorite song, Crying in the Chapel. You know, I asked her on one of her things on Instagram. I was surprised that she answered. Her favorite song is Crying in the Chapel. She's a Christian girl. We've even got her singing. This is another thing that we managed to do. She did on Instagram. She put out a request for people to join in on a talent contest, and there was lots of different people singing Elvis songs on Finley's talent contest. I've got this on one of my videos. It's on, if you look it up, it's on one of my videos, yeah. And Finley and Harper started singing an Elvis song with one of their contestants. It was beautiful, Yeah. So they're lovely girls. They're lovely girls. Now, they're very young, so we have to be careful how we talk about them. They're only 16, but I can tell they are special girls. Special, special girls. Let's keep going, guys. Louis, my heart goes out to Riley at losing her brother and mama and having to contend with Priscilla. Now, Emily, one thing we've also learned is that Riley and Benjamin were very, very close. Very, very close, like extremely close. So Riley's putting up, trying to cope with the loss of her brother, but also the grief of her mother, Lisa, which was extreme. These people have been through hell. And don't forget, Finley and Harper have also been through it. It's very, very sad. Very sad. In fact, I've had a few of you sending me pictures of them all together, and it's just so sad. So sad. Let's keep going, guys. Lisa took her babies home to Graceland to learn and share the whole experience of her magical Graceland. She definitely did, guys. She definitely did. The sad thing is the world isn't taking enough notice of the explosive book. The book is doing the talking, but the world isn't listening. Beautiful words. This is so true. Now, yes, the book does a lot of talking. Yeah, don't forget the book tour was all about promoting this book, making this book a bestseller, getting all of Lisa's words out there to the world. But unfortunately, the world isn't listening. This book has almost been forgotten already. This book, it feels like it's being swept under the carpet. Look what's behind me, guys. Beautiful Lisa Marie Presley when she was younger being interviewed. And we're here discussing her death. We're discussing the fact that this book, not long after it was written and promoted around the world, almost never been talked about. That Michael Edwards, with the alleged sexual abuse, has got away with it. Nothing's been done. The authorities have not arrested Michael Edwards. Why not? This alleged abuse that's from the own words of the person who had this abuse for years. Priscilla knew something was wrong. Priscilla knew there was something wrong, but did nothing, in my opinion, for entertainment purposes. And you're right. I think it's Kate. The world still isn't listening. Spot on, spot on. That is the truth, which is why we're doing this video. We want justice for Lisa Marie. We want justice. Come on. We've just been told recently in the last months that this man allegedly was abusing Lisa from the age of maybe 10 till the age of maybe 15. Come on, what's going on? Why is that guy walking around as if nothing happened? He's trying to deny it. I think even his daughter is defending him. This is abuse. This is sexual abuse allegations for entertainment purposes. I have to say that. Just our opinions. Come on, guys. Let's keep going. Unfortunately, Lisa learned how to be a great mum from the lack of Priscilla. Elvis was both mum and dad to her. When Elvis passed away, she knew her mum would come take her away from Graceland. And even that, Deborah, this is what happened, isn't it? When Priscilla made this big decision to run off and chase after Mike Stone, who was married with a pregnant wife, a small daughter as well. Yeah? When Priscilla made this massive decision after being secretly having an affair with Mike Stone, secretly, yeah? Then when it does all come out, she demands a divorce. Priscilla demands a divorce. Priscilla had befriended Mike Stone's wife. Mike Stone's wife, Frances Stone, forgave Priscilla. I will never understand why Mike Stone's wife forgave Priscilla. They broke up the family. Frances was pregnant with a small child. Priscilla had secretly befriended Francis, was going for dinner with her, was going to different karate events and tournaments, even inviting Priscilla into her home and cooking dinner for Priscilla. But secretly, without Francis knowing, Priscilla was having sex with her husband. It's about as bad as it gets. I can't think of anything worse than someone becoming your friend, having sex with your husband secretly for a year. It's disgusting. Disgusting. But Francis Stone, being the bigger person, forgives Priscilla. What is that? Michael Stone, when you see him getting interviewed, makes excuses. The universe decided it. We can't control people. And Mike Stone, you ever watch my live streams? I want you to know that you should be ashamed of yourself, the way you treated Francis and your unborn child and your daughter. It's disgusting. Your morals are in the toilet. It's disgusting. Now, okay, Priscilla went for you and made a beeline for you. Priscilla made it happen. She should be ashamed of herself. It's disgusting what she did. Bearing in mind, Lisa Marie was how old? 3 years old. And Priscilla was married to Elvis. Knowing that once Priscilla made the decision to move in with Mike Stone, she was taking Lisa Marie with her. Because let's face it, guys, in the 70s, if man and woman split up, the woman took the kids. So Priscilla knew if they broke up, and Priscilla demanded that they broke up, she demanded a divorce, she was going to take Lisa with her, leaving Elvis devastated at the loss of his daughter, moving out of the home that Lisa loved. Remember, Lisa loved Graceland, loved it. She loved being with her father. Her life was extremely happy. Lisa's life was like perfect until Priscilla makes the decision to drag Lisa away to another man's house just so that Priscilla can have sex with the karate champion. That's the truth of it, guys. Priscilla fancied the pants off Mike Stone to the point where she was prepared to drag her daughter to a different home, drag Lisa Marie away from Graceland and go and get into bed with another man. And Lisa had to live with that man just because Priscilla wanted sex with Mike Stone. And Mike Stone makes excuses for it and tries to make it sound like it was okay. The universe decided. We don't control each other. It's disgusting. You should be ashamed of yourself, Mike Stone. It's disgusting. I'm not surprised that you've gone to live the other side of the world. Yeah? Because your behavior was disgusting. Please apologize for your behavior. Please apologize for your disgusting behavior, the damage you did to Lisa Marie. Yeah? And accept responsibility for your wrongdoing to your wife, your unborn child, your daughter. Just say, I messed up. I made a mistake. I was wrong. Oh my God, I was so young and stupid. Say that. I'll respect that more. Yeah, instead of writing a book and calling the book, you call the book. Well, let's get Mike Stone's book up. Yeah. Now, I watched an interview last night. I think it's called EFM. It's a very, very interesting interview. And the interview, I think it's called Elvis Fans Matter. This interview's about, I think this interview could be 3 years old. I'm not going to play it now, but I'm going to review that interview. I've already reviewed it once. I'm going to review it again. Right, now let's get Mike Stone's book up, yeah? Now, in that interview that is, I think, 3 years ago, I'm going to look it up, guys. Let's get the book up. Here we go. Now, in the interview, I want to get the title of the book up. Do any of you guys remember the title of the book? Let me just get it up. Come on. Where is it? Where is it? Come on. Right, here we go. Right, now this interview that I watched, before I show you the name of the book, I know a lot of you know the name, I've just found it. Now let's get this interview up. I'm pretty sure it's EFM, Elvis Fans Matter, yeah? Many of you really like this channel. I always, big respect to any other Elvis channels out there. Right, let's have a look. So I'll get it up. Elvis Fans Matter. No, I'll just put in Mike Stone interview. Bear with me, guys. You can hear the dog growling. Right, here we go. Right. It's called Elvis the Ultimate Fan Channel. Elvis the Ultimate Fan Channel. Sorry, I got the names mixed up. Right, this interview. Let me just turn the volume up.
Make sure she would hold my hand. And the reason the relationship was so nice, I think, holding Priscilla's hand initially.
Well, I'll play a section for you just for a minute. But Mike Stone says very clearly in this interview, I will never make money from Elvis. I will never make money from Priscilla. I will never make money from Lisa Marie. This is 3 years ago. This is a few years old, yeah? Let me just see the date. No. Oh, actually, no, not 3 years. Sorry. 3 months. He talks about his book that's coming out. Actually, I didn't realize it was 3 months. He talked about his book coming out and that, oh, no, I'm not going to make money from Elvis and Lisa. And, oh, there'll only be a tiny little section talking about Priscilla on this. Yeah? Now, I'm not sure if this is the right section, but I'll just play this little clip and then I'll show you the name of the book. The book that Mike Stone, oh, it's not about Priscilla and Lisa. It's all about me and my karate and my life and the interesting life that I went through. Yeah. Let's have a little, just play a few minutes of it, okay? I don't actually know what is going to be said, but let's have a listen.
Come back from either locking the car or letting them go ahead. Whenever I was around, she would always make sure she would hold my hand. And the reason the relationship was so nice, I think, is because I regret that I had a daughter her age. Lisa was only 4 months older than my daughter, Shelley. So at the time that I left my daughter, Lisa was the same age. So being with Lisa was an absolute joy for me. I mean, I had an opportunity to make up to her.
Do you hear this bullshit that is being said here? He's done all this devastation with Priscilla. Priscilla and Mike Stone have done all this devastation. And do you hear what he's saying? Oh, what made it good was that my daughter, who I left, by the way, because the daughter, obviously, the marriage was broke with Francis Stone. Oh, because I missed out on seeing my daughter. The beautiful thing is that I had this lovely friendship with Lisa. Such a load of crap. Does anyone fall for this bullshit? Keep going.
But I did not have a chance to do for my own daughter.
What name did Lisa call you?
Mickey.
Mickey. Yeah, that's right. I have it written down here as well. Lisa always called me Mickey. Nice one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, she was obviously very fond of you, and I can tell that you were obviously very, very fond of her.
Oh, I can't even listen to that. Sorry, I can't even listen to that. We are going to review this, but this is Elvis the Ultimate Fan Channel. Now, I will just say I've watched quite a lot of this interview, and I personally, this is no disrespect to the channel, Elvis the Ultimate Fan Channel. You were too nice to him. You were the guy who runs this channel, you were much too nice to him. That guy didn't deserve the respect and friendship that you gave him, the friendliness of that interview. That man needed to be told off. Mike Stone should have been told off. He should have been told, how dare you treat people in that way? You treat Francis, your wife, in that way, your pregnant wife. You left your daughter. He should have been told off. He should have been asked to apologize for his disgusting behavior. That's what should have happened. Not, oh, you know, I respect you. Oh, and I heard you got on well with Lisa Marie. And, oh, you know, I respect your side of things. Bullshit. Mike Stone, you're out of order. It's disgusting. You should be ashamed of yourself. I don't know how you sleep at night. I don't know how you sleep at night. That's what you should be saying. But I respect your channel. I respect all Elvis channels. Okay, let's go back to this. Okay, let's go back. So Fern is doing a beautiful interview with Lisa. Now, we are going to do a few Mike Stone things quite soon, guys. Defending.
Did start to have a bit of fear that your mum might not stick around. Is that something that you had to really land on, and or was that a thought that you would try and push away because it just felt just too ghastly to imagine that would perhaps be the end of her?
I think a lot of my life has been like a lesson in letting things be what they are and not being able to change what is. So by the time that he passed and she was living, I would say that I was more, you know, I always have done what I can do, and there's a point where you have to just kind of surrender to what is. And I just knew from being close with my mom that the idea of losing a child was a concept that she like deeply feared. She talked about it often throughout my life. She couldn't watch movies with parents losing children. She couldn't, she had friends who lost children, and she would say, I wouldn't make it. You know, I will never make it through something like that if something like that happened to me. So I just kind of knew because of what she'd said and what I'd seen, you know, what I'd seen and their closeness and the fact that he was kind of like her baby. And I just didn't see a way. I definitely didn't see a way for her to live and be like, to keep going and for her to be happy, you know. What she started to do was just accept that she was living in grief, and so I kind of saw a way forward for her in that way. But she definitely was not like, in many ways she would say like, you know, my life is over when I lost my son. That's it for me. Like, I'm here for my children, but I don't want to be here, you know. Which is fair enough. You know, losing a child is the worst thing that can happen to you. So I don't know. But I was also open to her totally turning things around. And, you know, I tried not to have expectations, to be honest. But I definitely, the moment he died, I kind of thought, there's no way she's going to survive this. That was my instinct. And I think everyone around's instinct.
Yeah, it's too big. It's too big. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's just incredibly sad. Do you know what I found so extraordinary reading the book was how, you know, and I've obviously never met you, but I know enough about you from researching you and from reading your own thoughts in this book that you seem like an incredibly sturdy and responsible person who at times has had to hold together a lot of pieces of the family, or the dynamic, or the emotions, or the grief, or whatever. And I guess piecing that together with looking at, when you talk about your memories of being at Graceland, of reading Elvis's books on the shelves that were usually spiritual books, and you could tell very much that he's searching for something, and that your mother had that desire to search for some sort of comfort or something else to help her through. And I wonder how you feel sort of looking back on that lineage. And, you know, we can all do it. I've got a series on my mother's side of pretty poor mental health, and you can kind of look back and see how this filters through the family. But there can be, of course, family members in the lineage that break the chain, that do things differently for whatever reason. And I wonder if you feel like that, if you have broken the chain, and if that's been something that you've had to give thought to, or you're not an addict, you're not in that headspace where that's going to be a path for you?
I think that like it's giving me a lot of credit saying I broke the chain because I was never an addict, you know. And I think that addiction, whether it's straightforward or not, has had a huge part in both the loss of my brother and my mom. And with my mom, it was different. But I think that, you know, ultimately that experience kind of led her to this place of kind of hopelessness, you know? And so I think that the place she was in, the sort of hopelessness she lived in, was due to the years of addiction. And I think that had she not been in that situation, I think a lot of things would have been different for her and for my brother. So I do blame addiction for a lot of the sort of the trauma and the loss. And I wasn't like, I'd never been an addict. So I think that it's giving me too much credit saying I've broken a chain when I never had that issue to deal with, you know? I hope my children don't have addiction issues, but I don't know how it works. You know, I don't know, like there's so many theories about why, you know, people have addiction issues or mental health issues. And I think that for me, like something that, like, I think that mental, like experiencing depression, experiencing pain, experiencing suffering is part of being in this world, you know? So I always feel hesitant to be like,
I just want to pause this for a second. First of all, Pat, thank you for getting me a coffee. Do you know what? That is so kind of you. I'm going to use that to buy my wife a beautiful coffee and cake. My wife still will have a cake. So I'll use that to get my wife a lovely coffee. I think Caroline was, you know, Caroline, I'm sorry for your loss, Caroline. Oh, it's so sad. So sad. Oh, we never get used to loss, do we? It's like, we just sort of move on from it, don't we? We just sort of accept it and like it becomes part of us. We change. When people leave us, we change, don't we? And we have to move on. But yeah, anyone that buys me a coffee, guys, it's very kind, or does a super thank you or any of that stuff, or becomes a member. It's just so kind of you. You don't have to, guys. It's just nice. Now, is it just me, or are we noticing? I don't think I've ever seen. I'm asking you guys a question. I don't think I've ever seen Riley this opened up. I don't think I've ever seen her like this. I've seen her do quite a few interviews. There's one in particular in Australia, which I think we're going to review soon, which was a very good interview. Yeah. But this is the most bare I've seen her. Do any of you guys agree? This is the most open-hearted I've ever seen Riley being. And so honestly speaking about her beautiful mother. Am I the only one that's thinking it?
You know, of course there's mental health issues, but sometimes the phrasing of it bothers me, because I'm like, of course, if you've got somebody in pain and suffering, they're going to suffer, you know, and and the phrasing of it sometimes sounds like something's wrong with them fundamentally. And I hate that. I think that people experience trauma and generational trauma and pain, and it's hard to live in this world. It's a really complicated world. And people are so sensitive, and so I think that it's much more complicated than we understand, and so it's hard for me to really speak to, you know, generational trauma. With that said, there's definitely generational trauma in my family, and you know, my mother's father came from addiction and poverty, and I think those things are in your you know, your body for sure. I just think that, you know, and of course there's a lot of support now for those things that there weren't back then. So yeah, I don't know. I think that like taking on the sort of like responsibility of breaking the chain of my whole lineage feels like intense. But I hope and pray that there's, you know, no more addiction, but there might be. You know, I think that what I've learned in my life is to not really like have expectation, you know, and to kind of just ride the waves, you know. Yeah.
That's all we can do, isn't it? That's literally all we can do. I mean, there'll be plenty of people listening to this now who are either in the depths of grief, who have lost someone recently, who have had, you know, a succession of loss this year, wondering how the hell you navigate life, because it's obviously, it's not something you get over, it's something you learn to live alongside. How would you say you've coped, or how do you, or maybe there's been times when you haven't, but how are you navigating it? Because I think when you're in it, it can feel completely lonely and like nobody really understands, and the world keeps spinning, and people are just going about their daily business, but you're in this thing that is so all consuming. How have you navigated it, especially with your mum and brother? You know,
right, let's get started. My hands have all got oil on them because I've been working on the car outside. My wife's car broke down, but anyway, let's keep going, guys.
So close to each other.
Well, I think that grief is something that changes all the time, and you think you've got like a relationship with it, and then it changes. You know, I think that there's early grief, which is just agony, and then a year in, you start to feel like, you know, I'm making up this timeline, or it's relative to me, but you start to feel like, okay, like I see that I can sort of live my life and also hold this sadness, and then you have moments of joy and moments where things feel kind of normal, and then you find yourself feeling like it just happened yesterday, you know. So it's always changing, and I think it's like being okay with the change, which is really uncomfortable in life in general, and allowing it to I think for me, like, I know nothing ever stays the same, and I find comfort in that. You know, I think that can sound uncontrollable for some people, but I think that the idea that emotions change, everything changes, is like comforting to me. That if this is a hard moment, it will pass, and there will be great moments. Great moments will also pass, and then there will be hard moments. So I think I just, again, try and just ride the wave. But one thing I definitely do is I feel it. You know, I don't run away from it. I don't like sit in like agony, and like if there's a way to feel relief, I feel relief. But I definitely won't. Like if I have a moment where I feel emotional, I'll let myself cry or feel my feelings. I think feeling your feelings is probably the right thing to do. I think.
Without a doubt. Oh my God! I think in every single circumstance, and we're not. Yeah. You know, we're not used to doing it, and we're certainly not taught to do that. If anything, you know, I think a common way to get brought up by any parent is that when a kid's crying, or a toddler, that the parent's going, "Oh no, don't, like, shush, don't do the crying bit." And
I know
we're sort of conditioned that we should, and then obviously just through social conditioning that you're not either laughing hysterically or weeping in the supermarket or on the bus or whatever, that you have to keep it all in. And actually,
I think
it's
that's
so damaging.
I guess that's what I was getting at when I was saying that mental illness, sometimes the broad term bugs me when people are talking about depression or anxiety, or these feelings that are valid, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we're not meant to just be happy 24/7. Like, that's not the world we live in. So I think that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that, like, there's so much conditioning to not cry, to not feel angry, to not feel bad, negative, any emotions at all. And I think that pushing through that in grief has probably been the most beneficial to me. And I think that's just because when I do, like, try and push through or bottle it up, it results in like crazy anxiety or something else. Like, it'll find another way to.
It's just, I mean, guys, I I can't even explain it. We've all had grief, and we've all lost people, and we have our downs and ups. Many of us have suffered from anxiety and depression, and just the way that Riley is, just the way she words it, and then she says that we're socially conditioned to not let it out, to not cry, to be strong. You know, and this is a very wise person. I think, how old is Riley now? Is she 35? She's a very smart, wise person. I just love the way she really has got control of this interview, but in such a nice way. And Fern is just doing a brilliant job. This is very, very special, guys.
Manifest, you know. So I think that I think it's like not judging your emotions, your human emotions. Of course, if they're so severe, then you need to get help. But I think that like the way we're so hard on ourselves for having a moment of depression, having a few weeks of being anxious, having a panic attack, like how could we not when we live in this wild place and we're having this crazy experience? So I try and give myself grace for my feelings, because by no means am I this like perfectly level-headed individual. Like I'm a human and I feel a lot, you know?
Yeah, do you know what? I think there's such a link, and I've really experienced this one this year specifically, the link between suppressing anger and anxiety. And I had no clue about this before. And I saw this brilliant, I've been seeing this brilliant therapist this year, and I was having all sorts of crazy anxiety and panic attacks for years and years and years. And she was like, I think if you really, really got in touch with what you're angry about and you really felt it, then you would not have this anxiety. And I was like, what a load of shit, but I'm sure. And then this year have worked really specifically on that. I haven't had a panic attack in probably nearly a year, like not one, because I'm just feeling that. And I think especially for women, like feeling anger is such a no-no for some reason.
For women and you're British, like you're totally...
And I'm British, I'm fucked.
No, I think that's, I actually saw like Gabor Mate say something about that, like how women, and it makes total sense to me. You know, I think that there's a lot of anger and rage, even with your parents, with your school teacher, like with whoever, your partners, and females are not really conditioned to feel those things. Even in my household, like if I was to yell at my mom as a kid, and this is also just a generational thing, she was an amazing mother, she would have been like, don't you dare talk to me like that, you know?
Oh yeah.
Whereas now it's like, let them be angry, let them feel, you know? But that was parenting, and I think that so definitely there's a lot of, I think, repressed. I've also felt that, like repressed anger leading to anxiety for sure, or repressed sadness, repressed anger. Yeah.
Repress anything. We just got to let it out. I think it's so, and giving yourself the time and space, and just to let yourself feel a bit shit or whatever it is. Yeah. It's underestimated how powerful that can be. And I think it's really beautiful advice for people that are in it now, to not try and rush the process or get to the other side. It's like you have to be in it, whatever it is, if it's loss or anger or whatever, just to be in it rather than to bypass it, because you kind of can't. If anything,
you can't.
Delaying the whole thing.
For sure. And I think that's really the thing, is like you're suppressing of emotions, like it's going to come at some point. So it's, I think, a little bit of the only way out is through, in a sense.
Yeah, without a doubt. The other thing I found really beautiful in the book is your mum and dad's relationship, because, you know, after they broke up and your mum got remarried and had different partners, your dad was always about, and it was just a really lovely sort of beautiful partnership that they seemed to keep throughout your mum's entire life. What was that for you as a child? What was that like? Or as just a young person growing up, knowing that, you know, they weren't together, but they actually had a really incredible partnership going on?
As a child, my perception of my parents for a long time, like into my late teens, early 20s, was that I had the most amazing wildly colorful, sort of eccentric, incredible, like, parents. Like, and they were. I don't want to say that changed, but I think things got a little more, like, intense in my 20s.
Let me just pause that a minute, guys. There's only about 6 minutes left, but I don't want to. Let the dog talk a minute. I don't want to butt in because it's too good. It's too good. So I'll let it play, okay, guys?
And so I just felt lucky. Like, I always felt lucky. I remember as a child feeling so lucky that my dad was my dad and my mom was my mom. Like, and my life was my life. Like, I really felt grateful. I remember moments of being in the bathroom and going, God, I'm so lucky. Like, what did I do to be this lucky? And I don't know why I felt so lucky. I think I just felt like real love and unconditional love. And I just loved them so much. And I think that that's surprisingly unique in a family. So maybe I just knew that, I guess, as a child. But I felt lucky for their relationship. He was always around. You know, I said in the book, but I didn't even know that the Michael Jackson situation had upset my dad until I could see he was, you know, he came back from this one trip and I heard a phone call. But they were so, they really prioritized, which it was not like a big thing in the 90s, you know, like conscious uncoupling or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they were doing that, like probably before anybody.
They beat Gwyneth and Chris. They beat them.
And so I just felt like I knew I had a unique situation because I also had friends who didn't have that, you know, dynamic with divorced parents. And when I would tell people, like, my dad lives with us, often people would kind of go, what? You know, I'd be like, oh yeah, my dad lives in the guest house and my stepdad lives in the house and they're all going on tour together. And I think,
right.
And but I was aware of it. You know, I think that something I've felt really lucky for in my life is I'm always aware of the good moments and like I've never found myself looking back going, God, I wish I appreciated that more, you know, because I always felt really grateful.
How beautiful. I love that so much. And it's also intriguing in the book, you know, your mum's incredibly honest about her relationship with Michael Jackson, and they seem to really connect on a level that, you know, it's sort of unbelievable how there was maybe a mirror held up to each other and they just connected in that way. What do you think it was? What were they giving each other in that moment? Because it was very quick, it was very intense, they were completely in love with each other. What was that dynamic about?
I think that there were a lot of things they related on, firstly. You know, they were both living these, like, very isolated lives in these sort of ivory towers, and it's a really unique experience. So I think that when you're living that way, it's also hard to really trust people and connect with people when everybody around you is wanting something from you. And so I think there was a comfort in going in that. They both kind of were living that experience. They both knew what it was like to leave the house and have this sort of circus that would follow them. Like, it was a very similar lived experience. So I think that there was that, and then there was also just like a human connection. She just fell in love with him. You know, my mom was somebody who could not live her life inauthentically, like in any moment of her life, to a point where it would make people extremely uncomfortable. You know, if she didn't like something, she wouldn't go. If she didn't like somebody, she would leave. If she didn't like her husband, she would get divorced. Like, she you know, I think that I understand as an adult that there was like question around like whether or not that it was like a PR thing. And, you know, it's just like, there's no, you know, anyone who knows my mom knows that she'd be completely incapable of that. So she fell in love with him. It was pretty straightforward, you know.
I'm so inspired by everything you've just. I want to basically be everything you just said. Like, I want to like not waste time, like life is short. I don't want to waste time doing shit I don't want to do and hang out with people I don't want to hang out with. Like, how do you get there? How do you do that?
I don't know. She just was maybe born that way, and it was like so. I think that quality is so admirable, though it would make people uncomfortable a lot. She just never lived a moment in any sort of lie or micro lie or how are you good. She wouldn't say good if she wasn't good, you know. And so like I think there's something to be learned there in that sort of level of like living authentically, for sure, and honestly.
Yeah, I think we're all so nervous to make people feel uncomfortable, or for people not like us. We don't like that feeling, and I'm always so sort of magnetized towards people that do not care. They don't care. They're just themselves. I find it's the most tantalizing quality.
It is, and I think she. It's funny because she was insecure, and she wanted friends, and she wanted to fall in love and to be loved, but she also did not care if people didn't like her, and I think that was really liberating to live that way.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think, you know, everything in the book, every story, every gap that you filled in just is so demonstrative of how wonderfully complex she was, like we all are, that you can be both. You can be vulnerable and insecure, but very, very certain as to who you are and how you want to live in certain ways. And it's I just loved it. I loved reading the book so much, and I can't even imagine how tough it was at times. And you know, and like you said at the start of this, even doing these chats, it's fucking draining, and you have to go over stuff that's really painful. So I'm deeply appreciative of your time today, and it's just been so lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much, Riley.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful, and I hope you have a good evening, day.
Yeah, I'm hurtling towards that. Oh, it's like lunchtime.
Lunchtime. Have a good lunch.
Guys, I've got to go, but I'll tell you what, that was just amazing, isn't it? That was like, wow. I'm so glad that we watched that together. That was, you know, that's a 48-minute interview we've just watched together. Some of it is on part 1, but almost all of it is here on part 2. So we did do a part 1 live stream. And guys, I don't think I'm ever going to watch another interview that is as good as that when it comes to learning about Riley and learning about Lisa. Yeah, I think that's as good as it gets, guys. That's as good as it gets. I need to watch it again. There was so much included in that interview, and Fern did such a good job on that interview. She really speaks from the heart, and you can tell that Fern, you know, the British interviewer, has had her own serious ups and downs. I just felt like someone said here, I think it was it Debbie or was it Caroline? I just felt that it was like two buddies, two mates, two friends chatting for an hour. That's how it felt. But I really, like I've said already, they really both opened up to each other. And I think that the way they opened up to each other is why that was so good. Yeah, because I think that Riley really did give a really great insight into the way that Lisa Marie's thinking process was when it comes to her own fame, to her father's fame, to the loss of her father, the love for her children. Yeah, it's just all there, isn't it? All on the table. Riley just puts it all out there on the table, not just Riley's thoughts and views, but also Riley tells us her own mother's perspective on everything and how she sees that life that she lived, Elvis's only daughter. I just found it, I know I kept saying it, guys, but just so special. Just like that has blown me away. And I got that interview. Thanks, Kate. Bye, Louis and Team Elvis. Louis, we are with you all the way and support you. We knew what a great and kind guy you are. I know I said it either, but hey, what a great day. Oh, Kate, you're so kind. Thank you, Kate. I know you are. I know you are. Many of you here, I know that you're there for me. Thank you so much. But I'm so glad we watched this together. I personally found it very emotional, and I wanted to really listen to it. I didn't actually want to break in and comment because it was so interesting, so thought-provoking. Yeah, it really gave us an insight into that world. Riley, Elvis, Lisa, we really got a sense of what's going on secretly behind the scenes. I really feel that we felt that. Oh, thanks, Gio. I tell you what, I'm going to say it again. I'm just so pleased that we watched that together. Yeah, it means with Team Elvis. It's very important to me that we did that, and I thank the person that posted it on the 24-hour messenger and on our Facebook page. Thank you so much for posting it, because I saw it this morning when I woke up, and as soon as I saw it, I said to that person, we have to review this. It's too good. It's too good. And that person was watching it and was quite emotional watching it. Now, I have said that I won't mention that person's name, which is why I'm not saying it. But it's someone who is important to me as a member of Defending Elvis Presley, a member of our Facebook as well, of course. And so I hope you've enjoyed that, guys. So I'm going to go off for a few hours. When I do come back, I'm going to read a chapter of this. I think we are on chapter 5. Chapter 5, guys, of From Here to the Great Unknown. And as we keep saying, we are going to carry on demanding justice for Lisa Marie Presley. And we are going to read this book. And we're not just going to read this book once. We will keep going over this book. When we finish this book, we will go back to the beginning and we will do it all again, because we are going to keep this book alive. We are going to keep promoting and pushing and talking about this book until we get justice for Lisa Marie. This book will never stop being read, ever. Not on this channel. So thanks, guys. Brilliant. Take care. We're out of here. All of you, I send you love. I repeat, I have no animosity to anybody. I forgive everyone. I send out love. I send nothing but kindness to everybody and all channels on YouTube. I have no hard feelings. It's all love, forgiveness, and good luck in the future. Thanks, guys. Take care, everyone.